Today we are talking about something so simple, so free, and so available to almost every single one of you watching right now. And yet, most doctors spend less than 30 seconds discussing it during your annual checkup. We are talking about walking, just walking. And I promise you, by the time this video is over, you will never think about your daily walk the same way again. Here is what shocked even me. A landmark study published by researchers at the University of Cambridge, tracking over 334,000 men and women across Europe, found that simply doing a 20-minute brisk walk each day could cut your risk of early death by nearly 30%. Not a medication, not a surgery, not an expensive supplement, a walk. And for those of you who are already dealing with health challenges, high blood pressure, joint pain, blood sugar issues, the news gets even better as we go through this list today. So stay with me, because number one on this countdown is something that the majority of cardiologists, neurologists, and even orthopedic surgeons are not talking about loudly enough. And it has to do with your brain. I'll get to that in just a few moments, and I think it is going to absolutely blow your mind. But before we dive into this countdown, I want to ask you something personally. I read every single comment on this channel, everyone, and I want to know, how old are you? And what is the one health challenge that is making it hardest for you to stay active right now? Drop it down in the comments below. Whether you are 62 or 84, whether you have bad knees or a replaced hip, or you just feel exhausted by 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I want to hear from you. This community is one of the most extraordinary groups of people I have ever had the privilege of talking to, and your story matters. Now, let us get into it. We are counting down from 6 to 1, and we are going from powerful to absolutely life-changing. Coming in at number 6, and do not let the position fool you, this one alone is worth changing your entire morning routine for, is what daily walking does to your blood sugar and your metabolic health. Now, when I say metabolic health, I simply mean how efficiently your body converts food into energy and manages the fuel floating around in your bloodstream. After the age of 60, something begins to happen in the body that most people are never warned about. Your muscle cells start developing what scientists call insulin resistance, meaning the doors to your cells that allow sugar to enter start to get sticky, start to malfunction. Think of it like a lock that no longer turns smoothly. Sugar builds up in the bloodstream, inflammation rises, and suddenly your doctor is talking to you about prediabetes or type 2 diabetes, and you are wondering how this happened when you have not changed anything about your lifestyle. Here is what walking does. Researchers at the George Washington University discovered that 3 short 15-minute walks taken after each meal, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, were dramatically more effective at controlling blood sugar spikes than one single 45-minute walk taken at any other time of day. What is happening physiologically is remarkable. When your leg muscles are contracting during a walk, they are pulling glucose directly out of your bloodstream and using it as fuel, completely bypassing the need for insulin. Your muscles essentially become their own glucose vacuum. For anyone dealing with prediabetes or type 2 diabetes, this is not a small deal. This is a profound shift. A study from the journal Diabetologia found that older adults who who walked after meals reduced their post-meal blood sugar spikes by up to 50% compared to those who remained sedentary. For aging bodies specifically, this matters even more because of something called anabolic resistance. After 70, your muscles become less responsive to the signals that tell them to absorb nutrients and fuel from the blood. But movement, rhythmic, consistent movement like walking, essentially overrides that resistance. It wakes the muscle up. It says, "We are working, send us what we need." I had a patient named Gerald, 71 years old from Tulsa, Oklahoma, who came into my office with a fasting blood sugar of 218 and a hemoglobin A1C of 8.4, which is solidly in the diabetic range. His physician had already started talking about insulin. Gerald started walking 3 times a day after meals, just 10 to 15 minutes each time, and within 4 months, his A1C dropped to 6.8, and his fasting glucose was consistently under 130. He told me walking became his medicine, and he was right. Pair your post-meal walks with a diet lower in refined carbohydrates and higher in fiber, and you create a 1-2 punch that no pill on the market can fully replicate. Scientific references are listed in the description below. Number 5 on our countdown is something that affects virtually every single person over the age of 65, and yet it is treated as inevitable, as just a part of getting older. I am talking about joint pain, specifically the degradation of cartilage in your knees, hips, and spine, what we commonly call osteoarthritis. And here is the part that seems almost counterintuitive, the part that shocks my patients every single time I say it. Walking does not wear down your joints. Walking actually feeds them. Let me explain why, because this is critically important. Cartilage, the cushioning tissue between your joints, does not have its own blood supply. It has no little blood vessels running through it, delivering oxygen and nutrients. Instead, it depends entirely on a process called synovial fluid exchange, which functions almost exactly like a sponge being squeezed and released in water. When you walk, the pressure cycling through your joint compresses the cartilage and then releases it, pushing waste products out and drawing fresh, nutrient-rich synovial fluid in. When you stop moving, when you sit for hours on end, that process stops. The cartilage begins to thin and degrade, not because of overuse, but because of disuse. Researchers at Boston University followed over 1,800 adults over 50 for 4 years and found that those who walked regularly had significantly less cartilage loss and reported meaningfully lower levels of knee pain than those who were sedentary, even when controlling for weight and other factors. The Arthritis Foundation has directly stated that walking is one of the most effective non-pharmaceutical interventions for managing osteoarthritis pain in older adults. For those over 75, there is an additional consideration. Your body loses roughly 30 to 40% of its joint lubrication efficiency compared to when you were in your 40s, which means the joints need that mechanical pumping action even more urgently. Start with flat surfaces. Wear supportive shoes with good cushioning, and if your pain is significant, begin with just 10 minutes and build slowly. Pair your daily walk with a high-quality omega-3 supplement and adequate hydration. Water is the primary component of synovial fluid, and most older adults are chronically mildly dehydrated, which directly worsens joint stiffness. Mary Ellen, 78 years old from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, was using a cane and had been told by her orthopedic surgeon that she was a candidate for bilateral knee replacement. She started walking in her neighborhood pool, water walking, for 20 minutes a day, then gradually transitioned to flat ground walking over 3 months. 2 years later, she has postponed surgery indefinitely and walks 1.5 miles every morning before breakfast. Do not let anyone tell you that your joints are too far gone to benefit from movement. Number 4 in our countdown strikes at something that quietly destroys the independence and confidence of millions of older adults, and it is one of the leading causes of hospitalization and death in people over 65. I am talking about falls and the loss of balance and the terrifying spiral that begins when a senior becomes afraid to move because they are afraid of falling. Falls are the leading cause of fatal and non-fatal injuries in Americans over 65, according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, accounting for over 3 million emergency room visits every single year. And here is what most people do not realize. The fear of falling is almost as dangerous as a fall itself because it causes people to move less, which causes them to lose the very muscle strength and balance that would have protected them. Walking directly and aggressively combats this. When you walk, especially on slightly varied terrain, a gentle slope, a walking path with small irregularities, even grass, you are constantly activating what are called proprioceptive pathways. Proprioception is simply your body's ability to sense where it is in space, to know where your foot is without looking at it, to adjust your posture automatically when the ground shifts beneath you. Think of proprioception like an internal GPS system for your body. After 65, this GPS system begins to lose signal unless it is consistently used and challenged. A study published in the Journal of Aging and Physical Activity found that older adults who walked regularly for 12 weeks showed a 34% improvement in balance scores and a 41% reduction in fall-related incidents compared to sedentary controls. The key is to walk with intention. Do not just shuffle from the couch to the kitchen. Walk outside. Walk on different surfaces when safe. Swing your arms. Keep your head up and your core gently engaged. Walk with a purpose and with posture. If you currently use a cane or a walker, that is completely fine. Use it, stay safe, but keep walking. Pair your daily walk with balance exercises like single leg standing while holding a countertop, and you will accelerate the neurological rebuilding process significantly. My patient Robert, 69 years old from Phoenix, Arizona, had suffered 2 falls in 1 year. He was terrified. His family was discussing assisted living. Robert started a daily walking program with his physical therapist, and within 6 months had not only eliminated his falls, but had thrown away his cane entirely. Robert got his life back because his nervous system got its life back. Now right here, right between number 4 and number 3, I want to pause for 1 moment and ask you something important. If this video has already given you one thing that you did not know before, if you have learned something that could genuinely help you or someone you love, please take 2 seconds right now and hit that like button. It costs you nothing, and it helps this information reach other seniors who need it desperately. And if you have not yet subscribed to this channel, please do it right now. We publish content every week that is specifically designed for your age group, your body, and your goals. There are over 1 million people in this community who are choosing to age powerfully, and I would love for you to be one of them. Now back to the countdown. because we are entering the top 3, and this is where things get extraordinary. Number 3 is something that affects your heart in ways that go so far beyond what most people understand when they hear the words cardiovascular health. We have all been told that walking is good for the heart, but let me tell you precisely what is happening inside your cardiovascular system when you walk every day, because understanding the mechanism will make you want to walk today, not tomorrow. The heart is a muscle, and like every other muscle in your body, it either adapts to demand or it atrophies from neglect. When you walk, your heart rate increases modestly, your blood vessels dilate, and your entire circulatory network begins to work the way it was designed to work. But the magic, the real magic, happens at the cellular level inside your blood vessels. The inner lining of your arteries is coated with a 1-cell thick layer called the endothelium. Think of the endothelium like a non-stick coating on a pan. When it is healthy, blood flows through smoothly, cholesterol does not stick, clots do not form easily, and blood pressure stays regulated. But as we age, particularly after 60, the endothelium becomes damaged by inflammation, by oxidative stress, and by long periods of inactivity. That non-stick coating starts to degrade. Walking, specifically the increase in blood flow that happens during a brisk walk, creates what scientists call shear stress on the endothelial lining, which paradoxically is exactly what it needs. That gentle mechanical stress triggers the release of nitric oxide, a molecule that relaxes and widens blood vessels, reduces inflammation, lowers blood pressure, and actively repairs endothelial damage. Researchers at the University of Colorado found that previously sedentary older adults who began a moderate walking program reduced their systolic blood pressure by an average of 7 to 10 points in just 12 weeks, comparable to what some blood pressure medications achieve. A Harvard School of Public Health study tracking over 72,000 women found that those who walked briskly for 30 minutes a day reduced their risk of heart disease by 35% compared to sedentary women of the same age. After 75, your heart muscle itself begins to stiffen slightly, a process called diastolic dysfunction, and regular walking has been shown to partially reverse this stiffening by improving the flexibility and compliance of cardiac muscle tissue. Walk briskly enough that you can still hold a conversation but feel your breathing deepen. That is your target intensity. For seniors specifically, there is the devastating compound effect of isolation, physical limitation, and loss of purpose that can make depression feel inescapable. Walking breaks all 3 of those chains simultaneously. It gets you outside. It gives you a purpose and a destination. It produces the very chemicals your brain is starving for. A study from King's College London found that older adults who walked regularly showed 40% lower rates of depression compared to those who were sedentary, even after accounting for social factors and chronic illness. Furthermore, research from the University of Michigan showed that group walks in nature reduce symptoms of depression by nearly 71% in participants over 60. The recommended dose, and yes, I am prescribing this, is 30 minutes of walking in natural light, outdoors when possible, at least 5 days per week. Morning walks are particularly powerful because natural morning light helps reset your circadian rhythm, improving sleep quality, which in turn dramatically affects mood and mental resilience. Pair your walk with social connection. Bring a neighbor, call a friend while you walk. Join a walking group, and the antidepressant effect multiplies. You are not just moving your legs, you are chemically rebuilding your brain. And now we have arrived at number 1, the single most powerful, most underappreciated, most urgently important thing that your daily walk is doing for your aging body. And I promised you it involves your brain, but not in the way you might expect. I am talking about neurogenesis, the literal growth of new brain cells, and walking's extraordinary, scientifically proven ability to protect you from cognitive decline and dementia. I need you to hear this because it changes everything. For decades, scientists believed that the brain you had as an adult was fixed, that you were born with a certain number of neurons, and once they were gone, they were gone. We now know that is completely wrong. The human brain can grow new neurons throughout your entire life, a process called neurogenesis, and it primarily occurs in a region called the hippocampus, which is the brain's memory and learning center. And the single most powerful stimulus for neurogenesis ever identified in human research is aerobic exercise, specifically walking. A landmark study from the University of Illinois found that older adults who walk briskly for 40 minutes 3 times a week for 1 year showed a 2% increase in the volume of their hippocampus. Now, 2% may not sound like much until you understand this. The hippocampus naturally shrinks by 1 to 2% per year after the age of 60 as part of normal aging. These walkers did not just slow the shrinkage, they reversed it. They literally grew back brain tissue. The researchers described it as turning the clock back by 1 to 2 years in just 12 months. A study from the Karolinska Institute in Sweden followed over 1,200 adults for 44 years and found that those with high cardiovascular fitness in midlife had a 90% lower risk of developing dementia in later life. 90%! Think about that number. Walking increases a protein called brain-derived neurotrophic factor, BDNF, which scientists sometimes call miracle grow for the brain. BDNF promotes the survival of existing neurons, encourages the growth of new ones, and strengthens the synaptic connections between brain cells that allow you to think clearly, remember accurately, and process information quickly. After the age of 70, the brain's ability to produce BDNF begins to decline naturally, and the effects are exactly what you would expect. Slower processing, word-finding difficulties, memory lapses. But research from Columbia University shows that even moderate aerobic activity, like brisk walking, can increase BDNF levels by 20 to 30% in older adults within just 8 weeks of consistent effort. 8 weeks! For anyone in this audience who has a family history of Alzheimer's or dementia, or who has begun to notice their own memories shifting in ways that worry them, this is not a recommendation. This is an emergency. Start walking today. The research from Rush University Medical Center showed that seniors who walked at least 150 minutes per week had significantly slower rates of cognitive decline and were substantially less likely to progress from mild cognitive impairment to full Alzheimer's disease compared to sedentary peers. I want to tell you about a man named Thomas, 81 years old, from Portland, Oregon. Thomas came to me 2 years ago, frightened beyond words. He had started forgetting names of people he had known for decades. He forgot where he had parked his car twice in 1 month. His wife was gently beginning to research memory care facilities. Thomas's neurologist confirmed mild cognitive impairment and told him to stay mentally active and hope for the best. Thomas decided to do more than hope. He started walking every single morning, 40 minutes before breakfast, rain or Portland's legendary rain, every day. He started listening to audiobooks while he walked to add cognitive stimulation on top of the physical movement. At his 6-month neurological follow-up, his processing speed scores had actually improved. At 12 months, his memory assessment scores were within normal range for his age. His wife calls it a miracle. His neurologist calls it remarkable. Start where you are. If 10 minutes is what you have today, then 10 minutes is perfect. If you need a cane or a walker or a friend beside you, then use every single one of those things without shame, because moving is winning. Build slowly, be consistent, and trust the process, because the process is backed by decades of science from the world's greatest research institutions. All of the studies referenced in this video are listed in the description below, so you can read them yourself and share them with your doctor. If this video has helped you, or if it has given you the push you needed, I would love for you to subscribe to this channel right now and ring that notification bell so you never miss a video. And leave me a comment below telling me, are you going to start your daily walk tomorrow morning? What time will you go, and who might you bring with you? I read every single comment, and I will be looking for yours. Take care of yourself, take care of each other, and remember, your best years are not behind you. They are waiting for you just on the other side of your front door.